friends, welcome back to another video on the channel. If you're new here, my name is Fran and this is Journal with Fran. I have to start this video by letting you all know that I am currently recording a voiceover to the original video because somehow I apparently didn't plug in my mic correctly, so the audio was not captured as I was recording. So you will likely see my hand doing movements that might not make sense with what I am speaking, and that's because I am recording the voiceover as I shared, and I originally recorded this video I think a week ago now. So I am just very behind and I have no clue what I was yapping about. So that being said, today's video is going to be me going over two other booklets or organization tracker things that I have. The proper title is it's my fountain pen log and my fountain pen ink log. And so this first notebook here, this is my fountain pen log. It is a B6 notebook from Planner Monkey Co. It is Tomoe River paper, 52 GSM. The grid is 4mm. This is kind of like my go-to non-journal notebooks because I did buy a handful of these notebooks from her as she was releasing them over the last year. So I wanted to make use of the notebooks that I had. So I thought that a fun way to use one of these notebooks was to capture my fountain pen collecting and fountain pen usage, and I will dive a little bit more into that. So that's just a little bit about the notebook that I'm using and why I am using it. I do really like these notebooks, so instead of coming up with something new, I just decided to use what was in my stash. Alright, so as I shared, this is my fountain pen log, if you will, and unfortunately I did not start this the moment that I started collecting fountain pens, but essentially I use this stamp that I got from Everyday Explorers Co. So I kind of cut up the stamps and then kept it on this small acrylic block, so it's always the same for every page. So I will do the pen brand, the name of the pen or body color, and then the nib type and size, like if it's steel or gold, and then if it's like fine, medium fine, extra fine, all that jazz. And then I will date it with the date that I bought the pen, so not necessarily the day that I log it, because obviously I did not have this at the beginning of my hobby. And then if I want to, I'll write a couple sentences of where I bought the pen, like if it was a gift, a special occasion, an event, and then I want to also track the inks that I use in each pen, so that way I can maybe make a note of like, never use this ink in this pen again, or absolutely love this ink, all that good stuff. So as I'm flipping through the pages, you'll see that I have also started printing out photos of each pen. I am not up to date with, what am I trying to say? I'm not up to date with printing out photos. So there's a lot of pens I've logged in here that I have yet to print photos of. And then another thing to note is I think I started this log close to a year after I fell hard down the fountain pen rabbit hole. So there are a lot of pens that I just didn't even log at all because I had sold them even before I started this log. So for example, the Lamy Safaris that I tried, there's a bunch of Kavekos in different nib sizes that I tried that I have destashed. So I didn't even bother to add them to my pen log here in this notebook because I didn't have the pen to actually write the entry with. So every entry I am actually using that pen. So I just felt like it didn't make sense to log the pens that are already gone. And then additionally, you'll see on some pages that I have sold some of these pens that I've vlogged. So I will just take a pen and write on the bottom that I've sold it. So you'll see a page here, it says sold. And I do want to go back and kind of write like why I chose to sell those pens. But yeah, there's nothing super fancy here, but I caught up recently and thought it would be a fun video to share with you all, since I don't normally report on these notebooks because they're not really journals, they're not planners, but they're a fun way to keep track of these beautiful fountain pens that we love to collect. So I do have to admit, I also have a digital spreadsheet so that I can keep track of like how much each pen costs, and if I do sell it, how much I sold it for, because a lot of times I don't sell it for as much as I bought it. So I just want to keep track of like, you know, that little exchange there. But I really like this system. I like the size of the notebook. I really am a B6 girly. It's just the nice happy medium between an A5 notebook and like a passport or A6 size. And because this notebook has tons of pages, I feel like I won't need to move out of this notebook ever in my life, or at least for the time being that I'm into fountain pens, which I think is like a long haul interest of mine. So this notebook will be a part of my life for quite a while. So that is this notebook. And then the next log that I want to share with you all is my fountain pen ink log. And so this notebook here is actually a binder. This is a simple, I think I got it on, I did get it on Amazon, and I think it's one of those like money saving binders. So it's like that 6-ring binder, and it came with some like zip pockets and like cream paper. So I bought these card slots separately, and the reason I decided to do the binder system for my fountain pen inks is because, as you can see, I am constantly adding, well, not as constant anymore, but I add a lot of ink samples to this log because I have previously been ordering a lot of samples, and we also bought a lot of fountain pen ink bottles. So I found that this was the best way for me to be able to organize and reorganize the fountain pen ink log without having to re-swatch everything. So the swatch cards that I'm using are from Wearing Goal. I use 2 different swatch cards. I use the like water drop one to represent the ink samples that I have, and then I use the ink bottle one to represent the ink bottles that I have. So it's a really good way for me to know if I have a sample or a bottle of the ink. And so I tried my best to kind of group all the colors by color family. It's not super exact, but it's relative enough for me to function. And so, oh yeah, here I'm talking about why I chose a binder system. So I've already talked about that. And so I actually have this binder divided into 2 sections. Obviously, the main section here are all of my current ink samples and ink bottles. One thing I have to do is actually audit the ink samples because I have since used up a few samples and also given them away to friends. So the second section of this binder, which, as I said, I need to audit, is going to be ink samples that I've tried but no longer have in my collection. I just feel like it's a good idea to keep the swatches in case, I forget that I've tried an ink before, or if I really liked the ink and I want to get it again. So I think as I do inventory and move swatches that I no longer have, I might even write like a little note on the swatch card just to remind me how I felt about that ink, because it's been a lot in the last year. But I have recently slowed down on ink collecting, especially after the San Francisco Pen Show, and so I don't imagine this binder being reorganized too much as far as adding to it. I will definitely be moving some swatch cards to that back section. So yeah, this is just, you know, in the spirit of loving planners and journaling and organizing and using up the stationery that we have, I thought it would be fun to share this little piece of my organization with you all. Let me know in a comment below if you have a certain system of like how you keep track, like if you're into fountain pens and if you're into inks, how do you organize and keep track of what you own, what you ink in your pens, how you use your inks, or do you even do it at all? Do you not do it? That's totally fine too. Let me know. I just love to hear how other people manage or maintain their collections in this hobby, because I know we can easily just go very deep into the rabbit hole of these interests. So I am hoping to hear from you all in the comments below. Look at me trying to organize those swatch cards that I had in the side pockets. All right, friends, thank you so much for watching this video. Apologies for my rambling and the audio maybe not exactly matching up with the video. I really appreciate your support and just you being interested in hanging out with me. So I am looking forward to hearing from you all in the comments below, and I will see you all again soon. Until then, have a wonderful day. Bye.